Okay, we're going to get started here. We have a full list, which means we're 3 to 4 minutes. So if we have some people that read less than 3, then maybe some people can read 4, but not everybody can read 4. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Thank you, Charles.
But yeah, no more than 4, please. And we're gonna roll. So we've got 17 people on the list, and then we'll call up our features at the end. So I will remind you also that Oregon Poetry Association, we are in the middle of their contest. So you have until March 1st to enter, right? March 1st. And there are like 6 categories. One of them is a form, which I don't really always care for forms. Triolet, right? So, you know, you have to try new things. So here's my triolet poem. Not the one I'm going to submit, but here's a triolet poem. Regrettable triolet. If I sit in a comfortable chair, tell me I won't regret all the hours pacing, pulling out my hair. If I sit in a comfortable chair, not half as dumbly, with so blank a stare, writing a triolet. If I sit in a comfortable chair, tell me I won't regret. All right. Robert Nordstrom, come on up.
Great, great. Yeah, with Valentine's Day coming up, I thought this would be appropriate. I'm reading from my book, The Sacred Monotony of Running. And the title of this poem is How to Deal with a Midlife Crisis. Forget the tawdry fling with the big bosom tart, or the tumultuous affair with the woman who reminds you, though you don't know it, of the girl you danced your first slow dance with in junior high. Or the raucous nights out with the boys, swelling sentiments as pathetic as the glory stories of a pot-bellied jock. And don't, whatever you do, go to Las Vegas. They're cliches, all of them cliches. No, dig some steps into the side of a hill instead. Start in the early spring before the thaw settles deeper than the holes you have to dig. The soil should be rocky, with roots as tangled as your motivations for starting this masochistic project in the first place. Take your time, you've got all summer, but don't let inclement weather stop you. The steps should not follow the shortest distance between 2 points, but wind like the curl of the worms you expose to sudden light. Set these worms gently to the side, but declare open season on the slugs lying in wait for the hostas that will eventually garnish your midlife masterpiece. Level the timbers by eye, haul the fieldstone from the old cowpath at the bottom of the hill in the black wheelbarrow with silver scratches. Lean into it, thighs clenched, toes digging into the hill. Lean into it. Pack the gray, moss-riddled stone into the side of the hill, dirt congealing the blood on your aching fingers as your mindless mind wanders over the profound warnings and encouragements you might place in a time capsule for another man who might one day push a spade into the sacred soil. Keep your eyes on the work and do not glance up to the top of the hill where the hammock hangs and your wife, and yes, lover, lounges, one arm draped over the side, a frosty glass of lemonade held in her small hand. If you feel her bemused gaze, do not imagine it as triumphant. But for the sake of sympathy, it is permissible to touch the small of your back and grimace slightly. Take it the proverbial one step at a time until one hot summer day you reach the top to bow, then touch what you trust with your dirt-encrusted fingers. Thank you.
Next up, Lee Darling. Come on down.
I guess that's okay, yeah. Okay, this is just a brief little piece. It's called House of Mirrors. So, mirror, mirror on the wall. My condo was built in 1978. I bought it in 2016 and have made numerous updates since. But the mirror in the master bath was original. I found a round mirror in the right size and asked a friend to help remove the old one. We both laughed at the wall beneath, still original mustard yellow. I couldn't wait to cover it with the soft gray of the rest of the room. Sometime during this project, I started counting mirrors. Let's see, I have a full-length mirror, 2 medium-sized mirrors, and a couple smaller ones in the master bedroom. One is hung to reflect the painting of Simone, my precious last cat. The guest room sports 1 full-length mirror and a round wall mirror with weird wire framing. The master bath has an oval mirror in addition to the one over the sink. The half bath, a rectangular mirror with double beveled edges. An antique round mirror with elaborate gold frame provides my out of the door checkpoint. It used to hang over my parents' fireplace. My computer space has 2 decorative mirrors, though I rarely look into them. A large mirror pretends to be a window in my living room. There are 2 mirrors in my kitchen, part of my attempt at feng shui. And finally, even my laundry room has its very own mirror. Have you been counting? I had to do 3 passes through the house to come up with the correct number, 17, and even then missed the little mirror in the sun-moon hanging from Mexico. So why so many mirrors? I mean, I have south-facing windows across the living room, but much of the rest of the house gets no direct light. Mirrors give depth. When we took the mirror out of my bathroom, it felt as though the wall had moved closer and made the room eerily small. And light, mirrors give light, or the illusion of it. While I'm not constantly aware of all those mirrors, I believe they lighten my mood and expand my vision. Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Next up, Catherine McGuire.
Woo!
All right. It's good to be back here. I've got 2 short ones. Legacy. I have sagged into my grandmother's skin. Though she is gone decades, she hung this one on me. Dry, shifty like a loose sweater, soft, a leather glove. So different from the peachy rose skin I had. I must have left that somewhere, discarded like a gym towel, draped over my teen years, forgotten like a raincoat. Now I have this sharp hay covering, speckled and contoured by decades of holding and letting go. And this one I can't help being political, but it's called Pot is Boiling. Fellow amphibians, the time has come. Surely these roiling bubbles hint at our crisis. Our friendly waters have turned deadly. It's been a while unfolding, yes, but any bullfrog worth his warts can surely see they've turned up the heat, can remember more tepid times. Don't let this be the new normal. 1 hop, that's all it takes. Why stay in unsafe pots? Where will we go? Ah, that can't be seen from here. We'll have to leap, then learn. Thank you.
Yep, feeling like a frog lately. Next up, Jim Merrill.
This is called The House of Summer in Winter. I live in the house of winter, standing in a great room of youthful desire, staring out the window on the lawn of summer. I am longing for the sight of leopards in the trees and wild parrots in the sky. Hummingbirds come close to the house but can't find the nectar. Blue jays squawk at the cats who are sit chattering at the winter windows. But when I let them out, they cower in the shade, out of sight. A murder of crows is hammering out a caucus about issues of partisan disagreement, mirroring the report on the 6 o'clock news. I'm sorry about all the times. That's the title leading into the first line. I'm sorry about all the times I looked away as a shy person if someone looked at me, afraid of eye contact as I was. I'm sorry for the times I didn't reach out and put a hand on someone I felt touched by. I'm sorry I hesitated to act when my heart felt as big as a truck, loaded down with sun-ripe tomatoes, ears of corn, a load of green peas, pods as long as pencils. I'm sorry I acted on my feelings when my heart was the size of a raisin, when I lost the memory of those times that held us together through thin and more thin. I'm sorry I drove out of the situation in reverse, looking in the rearview mirror for steering my course. I'm sorry I didn't make it to your hospice room. I was too busy with other deadlines, work and all. And I'm sorry I didn't end war with a song and a dance, like John said. I'm sorry I felt it served them right when people were weak or gullible. I'm sorry I thought their naivete was their fault. I have one ars poetica for the day. What poetry does. You wander along a path you've never taken before. You don't know where it's going. It's not yet dusk, so you're not too concerned where it will lead, although the imminent darkness may become a little bit concerning. You wake up in the morning and find the time, once in a fortnight, to notice the morning moon hanging around up there. Crossing the street for the mail, you say hello to Bob the cat. Now, this part's biographical. Bob the cat, who greets you warmly for a rub along his bony back. You head back across the street seeking the best route for remembering or forgetting your past, the story of your life. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Jim. Connie James.
Connie James, yay!
Thank you.
There.
This is an anthology, which I got 2 pieces in, and so I thought I would read them. And it is printed here in Eugene, Oregon, and it's called the Madness Muse Press. I thought the ghosts that haunted me had a will of their own, but I discovered they are swimming in a substance fed by me and only me. I would put them on the stage whenever I needed them to perform, and now I've noticed lately they seem very tired and weary of it all. The pain was my suffering. This measured wound had become egoless. Darkness is in the mystery of the unknown that holds a world all of its own. I face this unknown, not with a warrior's model or a saint's disposition, but with life becoming a prayer dream, like a waking dream into a nocturnal prayer, the remembered dream as the unremembered dream is always healing once it's in your living heart. That darkness and light face all the ghosts with an embrace, holding strong the stringing each pearl with a kiss. And this is the other piece I got in. A coat of woven gold. In sleep, I wish to rest, but in dreams, I'm awake. The words are following, not to care upon my bosom's ache. In flowers I find sight, and fruit is always sweet. But to know how far a wind might blow a seed away is difficult to reach. With twisting rogues can a deal only be made to feel each side a loss. Yet a maiden's heart plays the game or played for fun. Now, this is she weaves threads of gold that will not tarnish. In heaven, her body is buried. The earth is reflected by a glow. Lonely she will never be. She at last has found happiness. I being she, or she being the maiden, who but I feel the climbs for all things touch. But some do not feel a truth without a hand. That's my castle now is in heaven, waiting to let me wear her coat of woven gold. And then I would like to read one poem for the coming Valentine's Day.
10 seconds.
It's
All right, go on.
It's called White Sand. I won't read the other one. We walked through white sand, my lover and I on bare feet. Silken were our arms when we locked together. Clear were our smiles, for lilies grow in our hearts. Pure, smooth stones we found, and joy is our only message. No secrets can be found as the sun does shine on our minds. With cooperation we relate, and love is breathing on that white sand while we hold the blue and green, small, smooth stones.
Beautiful. Bonnie, thank you. Congratulations on the anthology. All right, next up, Mr. Mertz.
Hey, does the walking up to the microphone count on my time?
Only if I push the button, which I haven't done yet.
Don't do it yet. Okay, now. I have silly, scathing, and spiritual, but due to Charles Castle's temporal glare, I may only get through the first two. A good friend of mine, Charles Thielman, called me up, and it was broken up. I couldn't understand him, and I called him back. He said, well, I was out in the gazebo, and I got gazebo garbles. And I thought, gazebo garbles? Gazebo garbles. Have I lost my marbles? I'm trying to talk to a friend. Electronic antics, they make me quite frantic. Those dropouts and bloopers won't end. You'll find me most shaken and sizzling like bacon. My sanity's gone round the bend. I'd do it much better and write you a letter as soon as I find me a pen. I got to think about commercials. I hope this is an okay title. It's called The Right Cologne Will Get You Laid. I have been told that wearing the correct cologne and a tight Speedo will attract a super slim supermodel with long legs, great posture, and a not quite pouting mouth. I have been told that only the correct toothpaste will cause a cadre of smiling and excited women to gather round. I have been told how important it is to have the right shirt and to lounge on one elbow in the sunlight, smiling at the gorgeous, super slim supermodel with long legs, approaching with the beginnings of a sultry smile. I have been told that the right wine, usually produced by the megaliter at a factory in Los Angeles, is the magnet that women cannot resist. I have been told that the right shoes will attract eager and inquisitive representatives of the opposite sex. I have been told that shaving with the right razor, eating the right food, using the right shampoo, and especially driving the right car will bring to a man, a young, slim, smiling, sometimes laughing, casually dressed man, his pick of adoring females, pulled in moth-like by his alluring cologne and scintillant teeth, his stylish shirt and shoes, his freshly shampooed hair, the absolutely perfect and arousing automobile he drives, and the bottle of wine in the back seat, or so I have been told. Then what is a schlubby guy who neglected to shampoo his hair, wears an unhip shirt and the wrong shoes, although they are marvelously comfortable, drives an old car, and is obviously a consumer of the wrong foods to do? Drink more coffee? Garden? Write more poems. Do I have time for one more, Charles?
You do, my friend.
Well, thank you. This is one I wrote a long time ago, and it didn't actually happen, but I sure wish it would. Teleprompting the Dalai Lama. He reads very well, and is not afraid of the camera. His scripts are real interesting. I wonder who writes his stuff. He ad-libs a lot, but always comes back to the copy so we can start again, letting the words roll by. We were on the set for 16 hours, and the time seemed like nothing. The smiling man departed, we wrapped our cables, and slipped into the night, gentle night, like a dark flower unfolding. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Next up, Mr. Eric Muller.
Thank you, Barnes Noble. Open readings are interesting, to say the least, unpredictable. We don't know where they're going, and there are really too few of them. This and page 3, I think, are the only ones operating in town right now, which is a shame. But it says more to the honor and glory of this one that it's been continuing for about 4 years. Some of you have published books, and some of you go to used bookstores. Some of you have found your books there. And it's always interesting to see who signed them, whether you gave them to somebody with a, florid inscription. Just yesterday, I went into a little place called Secondhand Prose in our library. And the woman who was sitting there, who knows me, said, "Look down there." And there were about 4 or 5 of chapbooks that I had done in the past, a long time ago. My feeling was not disappointment, but of greeting older books. So I want to read you a very short poem, since I've taken most of my time in the introduction, from this 25-year-old book. And it's about naming birds. It could be a Valentine poem, because it finishes as probably the need not to name the person whom you are closest to. To name a bird is progress. Say Tohi. To see it backlit black and know it is progress still. To hear it from brush, hear its churred trill, means you can stand with eyes closed and know it. All these achieved, you are closer to home. Just as in your home, you name someone dear, know his stride or stillness, no matter how dim the light. And best of all, with eyes closed, you see him clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So I just want to say, Stephen and I, we do it for the money. But no, we do it because you guys show up. And, to have 17 people on the list, That's why we do it. So thank you for coming. Next up, Raven.
QUORA.com, Raven Wolf. I would not want to wish my life on anyone else. That someone would be born like me and have to transition and live a life that can think poor and live in a world that can think poorly of me for existing. Be shunned, denied health care, denied housing, denied service, abused verbally, raped, beaten, and murdered. People like me become homeless and most likely do. We can be and most likely are disowned by our family and divorced. We become alone at the mercy of the world that would see us disappear. A world where many think themselves above us. Our suicide and mortality rate is very high. Some of us are fortunate to have the life we have as we have developed it early on before we transitioned. We endured the hard struggles of pain within, earned our education and careers. And then we decided it's time to live our lives for us, not the world. And we ended up having a better chance of living with some means to survive. I am a transgender woman. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Living true to who I am is not wrong. Being me, female, is in my cells, my DNA. It's who I am, has been since I was in my mother's belly. Who I am can't be beaten out of me, explained away by scriptures, healed by God. It can't be deprogrammed out of me with therapy. It can't be forced out of me through abuse and neglect. It can't be ignored or dismissed. I and others like me have existed for as long as humans have existed, and we are not going anywhere. We were born. We are born every day. We are part of what it means to be human. Abusing and hurting us is hurting all humans. We can be denied the right to live equal to all human beings. We can't be denied that. I have endured conversion therapy. I have been on anabolic steroids. I have lived a macho, extreme masculine life. I have hung out with guys who were the top 1% infantry and have been associated with some of the most masculine and macho killers on the planet. I was born this way, and it is not going away. Nothing will remove it. Even when my carcass is dead, it will still have the genetic material that makes me me. Who I am is not about any person on this planet. No living creature has anything to do with who I am. I am who I am because I was born this way. I am not a freak. I am not in league with Satan. I am not evil. I am not going to hell. I'm not a fetish. I'm not about sex. I am not wrong for how I look or how I live my life. I am not a living lifestyle. I am being true to me. I am a woman. Not all transgender people are the same. And I do not like to be compared to other trans people. I usually do not associate with other trans people, nor I do consider myself part of the trans organization. I am Raven, a woman, simple. I have worked hard and suffered to get to where I am, and it's a road to walk. I would not want to wish my life on anyone else. It is an unfair life to live, and if I could have lived male, I would be. I expect to die neglected, abused, and alone. I have experienced trauma during my childhood and most of my adult life. I have no children. Most of my family has passed away, and the two left have abused me or won't speak to me because they think I'm wrong for who I am. I have no partner and have not been intimate in 29 years. I have no one to be there for me when I am sick and in need. To wish this on others would be mean. Thank you.
Thank you, Raven. All right. Next up, Mr. Mark Jensen. Jensen, right? Mark's from Salem. Mark does Some big box up in Salem.
Yeah.
That's where we know you.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself bored in Salem on a Thursday, as most people do,
Or if you're not getting enough open mics down here.
that's right.
All right.
Every Thursday at 7 o'clock at the Ike Box. This is called Ode to Charlie Brown's. And I read this one time, and someone said, this has got nothing to do with Charlie Brown. I said, well, okay. So I have to explain that Charlie Brown's is a restaurant. Ode to Charlie Brown's. Mugs and moods, pints, paper napkins, potions, jammed on those cluttered, cloistered tables, thrust together soon after 4 o'clock, and that specifically joyful pilgrimage. Hard to get so many together, to accommodate so many gesticulating, laughing voices. Oh, beer. Oh, Coors. Oh, tap gold and clear glass tankards. And those coasters of Long Island iced teas, softened, personally facetious to funny, in plain words to wisdom. Oh, the mixed drinks of days gone by. At $7.50, are you still as sweet and as strong as you were at $3 and we were broke? Charlie Brown's free bowel burner tostadas, and folding table piled with semi-stale pseudo-Ritz crackers and rubber carrots and bulk ranch conjured us, called to us, enticed us from apartments and dorm rooms, drink specials, and an eventual impenetrable inability to keep, impenetrable instability kept us chained to those deliriously disordered brown roller chairs. Eyes brightened in the slanting light, and we embraced that sacred conclave of conversation. Happy hour.
One of my favorite hours. All right. Next up, Laura LaHue. Many of you know Laura from Poetry for the People, among other things.
Among other things.
Among others.
So I have I'm going to read 2 poems from this anthology. Is it hot in here or what, or is it just me? Women over the age of 40 write on aging. The Fallen. My girls just aren't listening to me anymore. I've given a pep talk the other day, putting them into their proper places. I told them to stay. I bought them new underwires and contraptions to lift and to separate, exercises to firm and shape, supporting my girls even in high-impact activities, camouflaging them in comfy cotton poly spandex blends with breathable wicking to keep them dry. In an elevator, my girls used to push the penthouse button. Now I'm lucky if they can reach the mezzanine. And this one is after a poem by Gwendolyn Brooks called We Real Hot. We real hot. We flash a lot. We sweat great. We insomniate. We hormone hell. We yell well. We change tune. We croon soon.
Next up, Andrew McIver? Yes. McIver, all right.
So this is a topic I'm old enough to be worried about and young enough to joke about. my corpus and its phobias. After what appears to be my demise, please remember my claustrophobia and the story of my mother and the suitcase, and order a large casket with a small window and a cell phone, just in case. I have never liked caves or wanted to be a miner. All that dirt above me, heavy with stones and worms, awaiting the next earthquake. So even 6 feet under sounds like a lot. Have you read the stories of soldiers buried in haste, only to have scratch marks found later on their caskets? I have. So please ask, is the doctor certain? What are his credentials? I know the crematoria is popular, but with my fair skin, I burn easily. Burial at sea sounds romantic. We are, after all, 60% water, but even after practicing, I can only hold my breath for 1 minute. Tibetans recommend sky burial, resting nobly in the open air, but my plastic surgeon would have a challenge should I awaken after a buzzard has swallowed my nose. So for me, it is off to the medical school, where the students can dissect my arteries, then kidneys, and finally my brain, alert for twitching, in which case we can call the whole thing off. Do you have time for one more?
You do.
Okay. This is called sidecar. In my country, I would not throw out half my meal for obvious reasons. In my country, I do not travel 5 miles for milk, for the goat grazes outside. We keep the plastic bottles in my country because they carry water. Because it's cheap, soccer is the national sport in my country. In my country, we grow peppers and cassava, and our neighbors grow corn. With a sidecar and a small motorcycle, we can carry 8 people to market in my country. Amazon does not deliver up the Amazon in my country, so at Christmas we sing songs, and the next day there are still no boxes. In my country, we do not fly 1,000 miles to our niece's wedding, since she lives in the village, and besides, there are no planes. Sometimes I wish I could drive a big car by myself through the country, like in your country. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Next up, Joy McDowell.
Hey, I don't know if I read this here before or not. Antediluvian patriarchs? Okay. Antediluvian patriarchs and actuarial tables. I waited for Methuselah to develop dementia. After 969 years, you'd think a few gray cells might fail. But he was able to shoot sperm into the sweet spot and spawn children centuries into the game. His grandson Noah almost eclipsed that record, but after 950 years, he was worn out from building his boat and feeding the animals and shoveling tons of manure overboard. Moses was dealt only 120 years, but Adam lasted 930 years and had a third child, Seth, almost 1,000 years after Cain and Abel wasted their fame fighting. Did anyone ask Eve how her delivery went at her advanced age? Seth married his sister, so maybe humanity carries a speck of genetic rot. Maybe dementia is a new disease related to plastics, like the toxic lure of Mrs. Robinson's boy toy. I write stories and verses. Sometimes I exaggerate or doctor the details. But I'm cutting down on plastic bags and leftover containers. I store extra spaghetti in glass bowls with washable lids. My aching feet moan at the mention of a 900-year run. How to keep up with my toenails, do laundry, fill the pantry, and cook all those meals. Methuselah was the man. One more? Okay. This is a recent piece, and it speaks also to where I am in the passage of time, where one time I was a helper, and now I sometimes need help. It's called Trading Places, and it's kind of a voice play. Fetching a word, being a helper, inserting what is missing. You know, that place in Rome, underground, bones, catacombs. Yes, yes. Fetching names. Oh darn, she was married to the superintendent. You know, a redhead, real skinny. Mona or Lois? Madeline. Oh yes, nice lady. Feeling the void, needing a second. Oh drat, those silly faces folks stick on their Facebook pages like smiley faces. Emoticons, Grandma. Yes, well, you can find one with a look of disgust, maybe with the tongue gagging. I want to tag it to spineless politicians. You want a pissed off, not chill, totally irreverent face, Grandma. No swearing, just a nauseated expression. I plan to type it in 3 times, maybe print it in red. Thanks.
Coming down to it here. I got 4 more, I think. Eileen, you still here? Come on up, Eileen Peterson.
Getting up is the hard part.
Don't be shy. That's a good thing.
I have 2 very short poems. One is an acrostic poem called Great White Egret, and it's taken from a photo that a friend of mine sent me of this egret lifting his great wings and gliding off. A few slow strokes of strong, broad wings lift the snowy body from the rippled water. Airborne, it skims the surface, rises on thermals, soars in graceful moves to the river beyond, becomes one with the sky. And the other one I called Do You Know? Do you know I love you madly, holding you in my arms, stroking your brow, kissing your eyelids, breathing in the scent of you, the touch of your skin against mine, ecstasy, as precious as pure gold, the caress of your tiny fingers on my cheek.
Sarah May, do I have that right? All right.
Whole thing's about 5 minutes if I read slow,
You got
so
4.
reads fast. Okay.
You got 4.
Paradise will never burn, they swore. The longtime locals were gathered on the ridge, staring across the canyon at 23,000 acres of flames and blackness. It was one of the most beautiful things I had ever seen, a perpetual sunset, writhing and leaping against the night sky. Trust me, they said, pontificating with their cigarettes and pointing with their beers. The fire will never make it this far. I shivered in my sundress. I was not used to the dry climates where the warmth of the early summer day exited with the sun. You sure? I asked. Someone else said fire likes to burn uphill. Nah. Dismissive wave with the beer hand. It will never make it this far. It's the placement of the ridge and the way this town is angled in the mountains. Trust me, my friend is a fire marshal. Other locals with similarly occupied hands rushed to confirm. Trust me, I've lived here all my life. Trust me, my friend is a firefighter 20 years. Trust me, my friend is. I had just met these people, and they did seem, well, kind of drunk. But I was new here. I knew blizzards, not fires. So I nodded, watching the swooping planes dump neon pink flame retardant, like tiny birds bearing thimblefuls of Kool-Aid. I was a brand new Californian, just 2 weeks liberated from the Midwest and delirious with freedom. I frolicked up and down the mountainsides, in awe of the canyons, the brick red soil, the forest of towering ponderosa pines, full of pitch and dry, straggly branches. I reveled in the wildness and swore I would never return to the tame and bland domesticity I had come from. Then on June 11th, the fire came. This was the Humboldt Fire of 2008, which began in the valley between Paradise and Chico. For those unfamiliar with these foothill towns, think of Paradise as the knee and Chico as the flat top of the foot. The Humboldt Fire was mid-calf. During daylight hours, the fire was visible from most of Skyway, one of the town's 2 main thoroughfares. Each day, I drove down to Skyway and checked on its existence. Are you there, God? It's me, Sarah May. Each day, it was there to return my greeting. A mottled black plume looming in the southern horizon, as large as the 36.5 square miles of forest it consumed below. Massive and surprisingly still, still as a photo of an atomic bomb. It began to seem as though it had always been there and always would be, there in the sky, watching it all. And we watched it with one constant eye as I dropped off job applications, bought next week's groceries, my periphery vision measuring its size and proximity to the near future we're all planning for. My job search expanded into Chico. Most of the 10-mile drive was blue sky and sunny day. Only 2 or 3 miles passed through the fire tunnel, a vortex of swirling black ash and amber smoke. Neon red flames burned on the hillside several feet away. Sunlight became the color of burnt cigarettes floating in stale beer. The stack of resumes on the passenger seat lost their clean, crisp whiteness and became a mottled brown. The Humboldt Fire lived 10 days from spark to finish. 74 homes were lost entirely, 20 more damaged, and 1 human fatality. The rest of Paradise's 25,000 residents breathed relief and smoke. For the rest of the summer, it snowed ash, a dusting to sweep off my windshield. Sometimes big pieces of ash the size of my fist. Some days the sky was so choked the temperature was 10 to 15 degrees cooler. The sun a hazy red smear, aged and decrepit, a cooling red giant, a fire sun. Eventually, the wind and rain blew that smoke and ash out to the ocean, and the fire became a distant memory as our future stretched out before us, confidently sunny in blue sky. See, said the locals over their beers, what did I tell you? Paradise will never burn.
Okay, we're coming down to it. Jules. All right.
Okay, I read song lyrics, and today I'm featuring a song from Higher and Higher, starring the young Frank Sinatra. And this is a woman's song, and it's called Today I'm a Debutante. I'll do it. I won't say can't. I'll say can't. I won't say shan't. I say shan't. I'll call my auntie aunt, for today I'm a debutante. When you're invited to dine, you don't drink beer, you drink wine. It's all too divine, for today I'm a debutante. I'll wear a face like a sphinx, I'll dress up in ermine and mink. I'll be polite to the press and I'll learn how to say yes when the right one comes along. If I come home about 4 and find a wolf at my door, invite him in. This is war, because today I'm a debutante. Quiet, please. No riot, please. This lowly little creature must be made into another feature. I can't wait to be a fabuloso, amoroso bait on the hook. In the social swim, I'll make an awful splash. I'll play the ponies and mix with the phonies, just disgustingly rich. This is depression. Every winter we will learn to ski. Every summer we will sail the sea. We'll catch barracuda down in Bermuda, just disgustingly rich. I'll match mottos with the autocrats and drink Plutos with the plutocrats, swimming in highballs, stewed into the eyeballs, just disgustingly rich. We can't be civil like a boring dibble. We will rocket like a ball of fire, higher and higher. You must be pale as a ghost, but never rude to your host. Just forget Miss Emily Post, for today you're a debutante. Then I'll fly about town and meet with some guy around town with $1 million in glamour and swank. And when he says, will you be mine, be sure he's got it in the bank. The world will be mine to bewitch when you're too disgustingly rich. Okay, one short one here. That's what it'll take. How to stay warm in the winter from the pajama game at a cheap hotel. Let's get warm. Yeah, what do we need? We've got steam heat. Steam heat. Do you need your love to keep me warm? And yeah, I need your love to keep away the cold. They told me to shove some more coal in the boiler, so I'm stuck in a cheap hotel with a pissy radiator. They told me to pour some more oil in the boiler. They keep yelling to shove some more coal in the boiler. They told me to pour some more oil in the burner. And then what have you got? You've got steam heat. You got steam heat. What do we need in this cold winter is boing, boing, steam heat. We need ding, ding, steam heat. What? You need clang, clang, steam heat.
Thank you, Jules. I was trying to hear Frank Sinatra doing that first one, and I couldn't do it. Tara. It's been a long time.
I've enjoyed everyone's reading, thank you. So today I wrote 2 very, very petite poems, ended up being suitable for this. And the first is called Thank You. My form of prayer is words I write on the foggy window of our shower door. The word hope, and sometimes the word brave. I've done this for years. It helps quiet the anxiety and feels like a wish that will catch on the wind. Today, out of nowhere, I wrote the words thank you. Memoirists, overanalyzers, extraordinaires, reminder of family secrets, unintentional bridge burner, wielder of stories, sharer of personal, emotional gore. Thank you.
All right, we're going to bring up our features again, and we're going to close it off. Melissa, come on up.
Thank you, everyone. I enjoyed all of your readings. It's nice to share this space with you and all of our words. Even though I resist the commercialism of Valentine's Day and the way that we sell love, I'm going to just read a short little thing about desire here in honor of my love, I guess. This is called Of Desire Again. I didn't dare look too long. All that fine sculpture of his face, the auburn hair cut straight and short, just a dash above his eyebrows and eyes blue, I remember. I averted my eyes to the shopping cart, to Ava dancing around on the linoleum, to anywhere but his too handsome face and eager mouth. In the glow of such unfavorable grocery store light, I must have looked frizzy. He said, "You are my Sunday night fling." Of course, in reference to my radio show he listened to on Sunday nights after his children were asleep. The wild blush of pink spread over my cheeks like a slow spill of ink. Was I being coy? I could tell he wanted to linger with me, if only because of the soft innuendo of his gestures and his compliment, so open and endearing among the toothpaste and vanilla face cream. I couldn't hold back my awkward coloring with this gorgeous figure flattering me. I flutter even now recounting the interaction, the way he tipped his head in curious regard of me, the way his eyes penetrated, severe but tender and subtle. I quivered at his closeness, taking off my coat and nervously laying on top of my cart, watching his eyes move to my hip where Ava had pushed up my sweater, exposing the pale winter skin. I folded the sweater back down, pretending he didn't see, but he did, and at this, the blood vessels of my face swelled even more, pushing outward to the surface of my cheeks, the capillaries wider now, pinker, more pronounced with each minute that ticked. He continued on to ask about the music I played, the station, until Ava tipped over sideways to the floor, a result of her impatient tricks and silly balancing acts. "Mama, look at me," she begged. We smiled down at her as she danced her one-leg jig, pushing boxes of accidental toothpaste to the floor in all her clumsiness. It was so all out of place there in the grocery store, with the music on the radio, I don't know which song, the buzzing of the yogurt refrigerator, and the lazy chatting of the grocery store clerks waiting patiently for us to pay. Did we need eggs? I couldn't remember. I didn't even have a list. I only knew I wanted to flee to the freezer section and hide with the peas and corn, or run to the bathroom and check the mirror. But I lingered. He lingered. We were both married, we both had children, we'd only seen each other at parties. But for just that moment, in the grocery store beauty section, with the shelves of coconut lotion and apricot lip gloss, we wanted to run away with each other, and all it took was a little blush to say so.
Thank you, Melissa. And I just want to remind everybody that our feature readers are selling books, and thankfully this will be the last time you have to go out into the alley to buy them. But please do consider supporting their work. So, my good friend from OPA, and last but not least,
What a day. This has been great. Worth the drive. These are 3 more Barbies. Very short Barbies. I was born with eyes that can never close. Joy Harjo, Poet Laureate. Just that line, not the rest of it. Well, not born exactly. Can you imagine me, Barbie, swimming, doing the scissor kick, swan dives, the breaststroke? More my style. Synchronized into a Busby Berkeley extravaganza? Get out your kaleidoscope. I can perform this number all by myself in stop-motion animation. Peepers start evensong in high C major. I see a pink jet trail, puffy pink clouds. Let me tell you about water, dark green and purple underneath. Pink light retreats. My mind drifts beneath a liquid blanket. I hear your brother watching TV. Mother is washing dinner dishes. You are curled on your bed reading. If the stars fell into this pool, would they hiss when they hit the water? Would they sputter out and drown? I lie here like a stunned mullet, fishy and deluded. When cicadas start their racket, I might go out of my mind. I miss sex. Then I imagine Ken preening in front of his mirror. My drowned eyes point toward the sky. This is a very short one, and it's got one word in it. I feel so small,
Think mosquito larva. Think minnow. Think pencil lead. Think shot glass. Think flea. Think chihuahua. Think bonsai. Think pinprick. Think thumbelina. Think dust mote. Think cat penis. Think baby squid. Jesus, can you see me at the bottom of this pool? This is my last poem, and it's a Barbie. She read to me, I want to say something about forgiveness, about how when I was new, the little girl and I were inseparable. When she started school, she read me every book stacked in the orange crate beside her bed. We read about frogs, toads, and a blue truck. She pointed out pictures of all sorts of animals. She read to me under the covers with a flashlight while all the grown-ups were asleep. And she really, really liked me. I can't blame her for getting older. Every year she changed and changed. She used to ask me if her breasts would ever be as round and pointy as mine. I couldn't find the right answer. When her friends came over, she tucked me under her pillow. I waited up for her to come home at night. At first, she painted her lips the same sweetheart pink as mine. Aqua powder highlighted her eyes. Then she had her ears pierced. Her lipstick changed to black. She cut my hair and stapled me to her backpack. It was some kind of a statement or an afterthought. When my head fell off, she didn't bother to pick it up. I don't want to think about love anymore.
So let's give our featured readers one last big hand. Thank you for coming down. And I want to remind everybody that next month we've got Doug Stone, lives up hop yards near Willamette River in Benton County, and our very own Mark Jensen coming down to read next month, and be there or be square. So one last hand for all of you who read today. Thank you for coming, and see you next month.
Thank you, Carol.